Now, you mentioned how in 1964, Fannie Lou Hamer was undermined from within at the Democratic Convention. Now, a lot of people coming out of the Democratic Convention this year, the narrative among a lot of the left has been they changed into George Bush neocons.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at a video, and you have such a unique historical perspective. I want to get your take on this.
Well, first, let's just I want to show this because this is an edited piece,
yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah, so you just want to say this is from Breakthrough News. They put together this montage. Sorry, go ahead.
Yep.
I will ensure,
I'm going to take it back.
as Commander-in-Chief, I will ensure America always has the strongest, most lethal fighting force in the world.
Vice President Harris has always championed America's support for NATO.
She's worked with President Zelensky to fight back against Russia,
Iran, North Korea, and especially China watch closely.
Our vision is based on our values, the values that took us to the shores of Normandy and helped us win the Cold War.
She'll keep modernizing our military to support our troops.
She'll keep America's military the strongest in the world, the strongest ever known.
We are the damn United States of America. We lead.
Okay, so now on the one hand, you watch this and you say this is like a Bush era Republican convention.
I was just because it took the words right out of my mouth. That could have been the 2004 RNC.
Sure, but on the other hand, having the longer historical view you have, it was Johnson that escalated in Vietnam.
Yeah.
It was Biden that wrote the crime bill.
Yeah.
The Democrats have been Zionists since Truman.
Yeah.
So is it really a substantive change from your perspective, or is it an aesthetic change?
Well, I'm not sure how aesthetically different it is, but you've got some drag that's happening here, but it's not substantive. And the reason we say this also is, but from our perspective, the political and economic configuration of the world as we know it really began a long time ago with and we characterize this as a colonial mode of production. It's challenges, I know, like some views that people have who've characterized it simply as a capitalist mode of production. But the fact is that capitalism itself rests upon the foundation of colonialism. There would be no capitalism if it weren't for this territory that we are on right now, this which came from the colonial domination of the indigenous peoples, nations here, and the colonialism as it affected Africa. And that's how I got to be here. Didn't come here, looking for a better way of life, but we lost one as a consequence of coming here. So that's the reality that we're looking at. And what happened is that the narrative has changed so substantially, as we talked about, especially since the 1960s, that it looks like the fundamental difference is whether one is a Republican or a Democrat, or whether one is liberal or conservative. But all of it rests upon a colonial foundation of oppressed peoples around the world. And this oppression that I'm talking about, colonialism, when aspects of it, when the features of colonialism seeps into, and it does seep into, the general white population during times of crisis, that's what people refer to as fascism. Now something is happening as fascism. But it wasn't fascism when they killed George Floyd. It wasn't fascism. The French, the great anti-fascist French, while at the same time they're fighting German Nazis, they're controlling Algeria, they're controlling much of Africa and what have you, with no rights at all. It wasn't fascism. So what happens is that you've got a social system that's mounted on the colonial oppression of the vast majority of the world. And it feeds them. It provides all kinds of resources to the majority, but it's a parasitic relationship that's imposed on everybody else. And so at the moment, this thing begins it's all right. You can have liberals who protest. People call themselves leftist, Marxists, who can protest this person getting killed or this aspect of the problem, but they can't get to the essential question. That's the colonial question. Because if you don't deal with that, and that's why right now, as I mentioned, all these people who we saw Biden, we saw the Congress of the United States, the House get on one knee. They never, and of course, this comes from Colin Kaepernick, who still doesn't have a job, but they get on one knee with African kente from China on their shoulder and what have you, and they say they say stuff like Black Lives Matter. Doesn't change anything. So they can say that kind of stuff, but the substantive thing doesn't get touched. And that's the thing that challenges everything.
Please clap.